The focus today, the focus about this set of readings is not only on the wonder of the resurrection, but what the resurrection begins to look like in real life. Not just what God has done, but who we are becoming because of what God has done. In the letter we heard today, in 1 Peter, we are given a clear and direct invitation: love one another deeply from the heart. Now that is simple enough to say, but when we pause and we sit with it, we begin to realize just how much is contained in those words. This is not an easy sort of love. It is not about being polite and being agreeable. It is not about avoiding conflict or staying at the surface. This is a love that reaches to the heart. It is a love that has been shaped by something greater than ourselves. We are told that we have been given new life, born anew, not from something temporary, but from something living and enduring. That means the love we are called to live out is rooted in the very life of God at work within us. And that changes what love looks like. And that changes what love looks like. To love one another from the heart is not just about how we feel. It is about how we choose to be with one another. It is about whether we are willing to show up with honesty, with patience, and with care. And if we are going to love one another in that way, then we have to learn how to listen. Not by just hearing words, but by truly listening. Listening without immediately trying to think and prepare a response. Listening without trying to fix or correct. Listening with the openness to be changed by what we hear. Walking into community means walking into a space where we do not already know everything about one another. It means allowing room for stories to be told. It means recognizing that each person carries something sacred, something of their own journey. And this kind of listening is not always easy, because it asks us to slow down. It asks us to let go of assumptions. It sometimes asks us to sit with things that are uncomfortable. It calls us to move beyond the surface into something more real. And this is where that love begins to take root. There's a moment in the gospel story we've heard where two disciples are walking along the road, trying to make sense of everything that has happened. Jesus comes alongside them, but they do not recognize him at first. He listens to them. He walks with them. He opens the scriptures to them. And still, they do not quite see. It is only later, at the table, in the breaking of the bread, that their eyes are opened. There is something important in that. That it was at the table when they were sitting down to eat. Because before recognition becomes presence. Before understanding comes listening. Before their eyes are opened, Jesus had already been walking with them, already hearing them, already entering into their story. And perhaps that is part of what shapes us as a resurrection people. We do not begin with some sort of perfect understanding. We begin with presence. We begin with listening. We begin with walking alongside one another, even when we do not yet fully see what God is doing. This is where the invitation becomes a challenge. Because it is possible to gather without truly becoming community. It is possible to speak without listening. It is possible to be near one another without really knowing one another. To love one another deeply from the heart calls us beyond that. It calls us into a way of life that is intentional. A way of life where we pay attention, where we make space, where we choose to remain present to one another even when it would be easier to stay distant. And this is not something that happens all at once. It is something we grow into together, and it takes time. Each conversation, each moment of listening, each act of patience or care becomes part of that. Over time, it forms a community that begins to reflect something of the life of Christ. So what might that look like for us this week? It might be as simple as slowing down long enough to truly hear someone's story. It might be choosing to listen without interrupting or offering a quick solution. It might be reaching out to someone you have not spoken to in a while and giving them your full attention. It might be asking a genuine question and staying present for the answer. Now, these are small things, but they are very significant. Because this is how love takes shape. This is how resurrection life begins to be lived. We may not always recognize Jesus immediately. The disciples did not. But as we walk with one another, as we listen, as we share life together, something begins to open. Our eyes open. Our hearts open. Our understanding opens. And in those moments, we begin to see not just Christ among us, but Christ reflected in one another. By our eyes being open, by our hearts being open, by our understanding opening up. And that is how we become, together, a resurrection people, an Easter people. That is my prayer for us, that we become a resurrection people together. Amen.